Welcome back to Zestology. This is the podcast all about energy, and today's guest is someone who has plenty of energy. It is Brett Moran, a man who lives the dream, who's been on Zestology before. He is live in Thailand today on Zestology. I, however, am not live in Thailand. You might be able to hear I'm outside, out and about, as I always am, in West London. And it's not a particularly nice summer's day. Brett has had a roller coaster of a life, and you might know from listening to Zestology in the past. He says that prison was the best thing that ever happened to him. He sees all the adversity that he's gone through as a blessing in disguise, and now he really does live the dream in Thailand. And I think what I always appreciate about talking to Brett is it doesn't get boring for him. I remember a few years ago I was desperate for a new car. And I'm not a car man at all, I really don't care about cars, but I had an old Bang Out and it wasn't very comfortable, and I spent ages picking the new car that I was going to get. I wanted it to be fairly eco-friendly and not cost too much, but kind of, be quite comfortable. And I spent ages picking this car, even though I'm not really that into cars. And about a year after I'd picked it, I just never thought about it ever again. So having been quite excited about this new purchase, I just kind of got realigned to that new reality and then forgot the fact that I was ever excited about it. And I think that can be the same whatever we lust after in life a little bit. Certainly moving to a foreign land and living in a place like Thailand, I bet that some people do that, and after 6 months they start whinging and saying, yeah, it's not actually as good as living here. Brett, not at all. He loves it, and he always kind of wakes up and sees his surroundings with fresh enough eyes to really appreciate it and stay in the moment. So here he is, Brett Moran, living the dream on Zestology. You are quite a hard person to tie down because you live so in the moment, so I appreciate you taking the time out of your day in paradise to chat.
Yeah, mate, hard to tie down. I'm drinking coconuts all day. That's why it's so hard to tie me down.
It's just, and I've taken a couple of screenshots of where you are right now so people can actually see what's going on. You are about a minute away from where you live on the beach, and it looks a bit cloudy there today, but lovely and warm. You're not wearing a shirt, that's for certain.
No, I've got no woolly jumper on, mate. It's a little bit different.
Are you still, because how long have you been living there now for?
Somebody asked me that the other day. I think it's been about a year, just over a year. So like a year, maybe in a few months.
In that place, or in total in Thailand?
Well, no, in total in Thailand, probably about 4 years, 3 to 4 years, I think. But just in this place on Koh Phangan, this island, just over a year.
Yeah, and do you still find it kind of... Because whenever I've been over there, I've thought, you know what, I'd love to live here. I always think that. And then I think, would I like it after 3 or 4 years? So how do you feel now?
Mate, I love it. A lot of people say that as well. It's just, I don't know. I think it's mindset, isn't it? Every day I want to wake up on a motorbike and I ride down to my little coffee shop to get the internet cafe and grab my matcha latte. You know, I'm just driving past coconut groves and like mountains, and I'm just like every day still doing my gratitudes, thinking, wow, this is amazing. You know, it could be worse. It could be driving to an office or getting the commute to an office. So I think if you get a bit blasé about it and you forget that you're living in paradise, then I hear a lot of people here that they can't wait to get off the island, and they've only been here for like 3 or 4 months. They get this like island fever, and I look at them and I'm like, shit, what's going on in your mindset? Because you're literally in paradise right now. So I think it is mindset, mate, if I'm honest. So it's just always counting gratitudes wherever I am. That's what I do. Yeah. So I'm not bored. No, and I'm not coming home.
Well, you were home for a couple of weeks recently. Well, we missed you. I was really gutted about that, but we're maybe going to see you in September, which would be awesome. And you were just saying before we started recording that you did a couple of months ago, you had a bit of a reset, and you thought that even though you were in paradise, you kind of get sucked into the day-to-day life a little bit. What was that all about?
Yeah, well, you know what I see? I mean, like you term it now, they call it digital nomads, people that live off their laptops and they travel around. But, you go to coffee shops, mate, and you see digital nomads and they're just on their laptop all day, every day, still editing their videos, still, writing their blog posts, taking a quick photo. And I just kind of realized that actually that's just another sort of trap that you can get caught up in. In a way, we kind of create this sense of freedom where we can live off a laptop and travel around the world, but really you're editing videos all day and all night and trying to, get your work done. So I just felt myself a little bit getting sucked into that, making the podcast, making the videos, getting sort of sucked into it. And I just kind of decided just to have a reset, mate. I was writing my book, which I'm still writing, the second one, but I just got a little bit tired with it. So I thought, do you know what? Just take some time out. I went and invested in some kind of like personal development courses, like Tantra courses and consent courses, some yoga stuff. And I just kind of like just chilled out for a month. So that is another thing which I'm just very blessed with. Like today I've woken up, decided to have a day off because I just finished my course for the last 3 days, and I've done nothing. I've literally gone to the laundry shop, done my laundry, bought some fruit, had a juice, done some visualization, went for a swim in the swimming pool. And just as I was in the swimming pool, I was like, oh my God, Brett, you really have smashed it. So I wouldn't say luck, because I think your choices create your reality. And I sit there and I think, wow, you know, if you had a normal kind of life, you wouldn't be able to just take a day off because you feel tired and you've done too many courses. I felt like I had to have a reset.
Let's just talk about the Tantra now, shall we?
yeah, let's get it. As soon as I said that word, your eyes lit up, Joe.
So I knew this was going to be on the menu because you've been telling me you've been doing a couple of Tantra courses, and I know that because we recorded a podcast on the island where you are, and we looked at all the courses that we could do, and I said to Faith, Tantra course? And I know there are Tantra courses that are done on the island. What have you been up to?
I think Tantra, it can get a bit mixed up, you know, mixed signals. People think straight away Tantra, it's all about sex and, you know, big orgies. I haven't done none of that, if I'm honest. I've been in these Tantra workshops for the last week and a bit, and I've kept every piece of my clothing on, honestly. It's been more about learning things like consent, learning about clear communication, learning about boundaries, and then obviously like doing lots of exercises where you sit face to face, like with men and with women, and you do things like eye gazing, you do gentle touching, you hug each other quite a lot. I sound like a bloody hippie, mate, but I can't express how much love and freedom I've got inside me right now from doing that. Like, it's just phenomenal. And I was there the other day, there was about 20 of us, you know, we was all laying down. It's called a snuggle puddle, and we're all laying down, like just literally touching each other, hugging each other. And I was like,
oh
my
goodness,
yeah.
me.
And I'm thinking,
hey guys, should we have a snuggle puddle? Come on,
and I'm thinking,
let's get in and have a snuggle puddle. Hey, it's totally innocent. It's just gentle touching. It's just gentle touching. It's conscious breathing. You can do it. It's conscious breathing.
No, but on a serious note, mate, I laid there and I just thought to myself, if it's not about love, then what is this all about? Like, and you know, just having that baby, you just had a child, and like, it's just love. It's just nothing but pure love. He gives you that sense of peace and freedom away from all the struggles and worries. It reminds you of what life is really about. And I think when we have babies or we see babies giggling, we're reminded of that peace and that love inside us. But also, we can do that with each other. And I think we just get so caught up in all this busyness and life and, you know, being successful, jobs, mortgages, everything really, and even digital nomads editing their stuff, that we actually do forget about the most simplest things, which is human connection, love, cuddle puddles, snuggle puddles, you know, and all this sort of stuff. And so I lay there and I just thought to myself, shit, the whole world needs more of this. Like, I'm on a mission now just to spread so much more love with my clothes on.
Because do you remember when I was over there? Actually, no, it wasn't when I was there. It was in Bali. I don't think I've told this story on the podcast before. I was. Someone came up to me and said, "Hi, would you like to come to a massage and dessert party in the jungle tonight?"
You told me, brilliant.
And I was like, "Yeah, I think I probably would quite like to do that." And
did you go for the massage or for the dessert?
Well, obviously just the dessert, yeah. And so we all went into the jungle, and she kind of rang a little bell to start. About 50 people just in the middle of nowhere, and she said, "Right, guys, just want to establish some boundaries. This is where it's okay to massage, and this is where it's not okay. And if you want to get massaged, just lie down, and people will start massaging you." And within a couple of minutes, I had 3 different people massaging me, and I was massaging a couple of others, and I thought, this is terrific scenes. And again, I mean, it was all kind of completely, I wouldn't say platonic is quite the right word, because it felt like quite a kind of highly charged atmosphere as well, but it was a lot of fun.
Yeah. It's beautiful, mate. It really is beautiful.
Yeah.
Here comes a little shameless plug. I'm actually coming back in September, and I'm doing a 2-day Taste of Tantra retreat in a place called Gaunt's House, which is sort of just near Bournemouth, like Wimborne.
Right, so that's going on. And
And what else is going on in your life then? Because obviously we've talked a lot about your kind of projects, the stuff that you've kind of been working on. I know you host retreats out there as well, don't you? And you've got your website, and you've obviously got loads of followers on YouTube and everything else. What else is going on?
Still doing the app, mate. I remember a few podcasts ago we was talking about the app, and I had a team of people come out, and it kind of flopped, if I'm honest. So I'm still plugging on with that. I've got my online coaching program. We just did a launch. It's closed now, but we did a launch a couple of weeks ago. And then, there's loads of free meditations. There's a 30-day meditation challenge on my website. You know what, Tone? I've been reading a lot of kind of these yoga kind of books, and they're saying, just don't take it with a pinch of salt. Like, live your mission, live your purpose. They call it Dharma in yoga. But don't get too stressed out about it. Like, just take it in your stride. So I'm still writing my book. I realised I needed some time out, so I've took some time out. And then I'm not stressed about it. I'll get back into it when it comes again, which I feel like it'll probably be within the next couple of weeks. I'm just creating these online courses. People can download them and they can just start to find a bit of happiness.
I think it's just in my nature to fall into that trap of just working so hard and constantly pursuing the next project. And actually, living within your means. I mean, I heard someone the other day say that the reason you want money is not for the money, it's for the freedom. But if you kind of realign your idea of what freedom is, so you reduce your financial expectations, you say, all right, I could live on half as much as I actually aspire to, but I don't need any more. I mean, for you, you're in Thailand already, aren't you? I mean, you've got the dream right there. So it's kind of realigning your expectations and saying, all right, if I lived a little bit more within my means and I didn't buy that new car, I would only have to work half as hard.
Yeah. And you can enjoy your life a bit more. But you're right. I think society or the system, it gets us to spend our future. So you get a credit card, or you can get like a car on finance, but you've really technically you spent 5 years of your life to pay it back. If you get a 5-year loan to get a car, it's like that's 5 years of your life. And it just twigged in my head a few years ago. I'm always spending my future when I'm doing things like that. So I try not to have no credit, got no credit cards, I've got no debts whatsoever. It's literally, I pay my rent 6 months up in front, which obviously my rent here is about probably 1 month's rent in London, if I'm honest.
How much is it? How much? Because I've seen your place. It's a nice place.
It's right. It's literally on the beach. It's probably I think it was about, I just got a little bit of a discount because this is the second time I've paid her up front. It's I'd say about 1,200 quid for 6 months.
For 6 months? Hang on.
Yeah.
1,200 quid for 6 months. That's 200 quid a month. That's about 50 quid a week. 200. Okay, it's about, you're looking at probably tenner a day or a bit less.
Actually, it's quite expensive, isn't it?
That is amazing.
Yeah, it is. It's ridiculous. So yeah, I think that when you live in that rat race and you're in that sort of system, you are thinking of the next project, or you are living not up to your means, but beyond your means, and then you've got to work another 5 or 10 years just to pay all the stuff back. Yeah. So yeah, I stopped using all that. I don't know. They would call it minimalistic living. So I started that a good few years back. And now it pays off.
Yeah. Well, actually, I've interviewed someone called B. Johnson, who you'd be really interested in meeting as well, actually. She's written a book called Zero Waste Living. It's all about living within your means, but with a specific focus on, firstly, reusing stuff and refusing stuff when you get offered it, and then recycling, and then, kind of looking after the environment at the same time. And it's just kind of, she said, when she got rid of all this stuff, she felt so liberated, and she had loads more money and time to spend on the things that she really wanted to do, like taking holidays.
Yeah. I'm going to have to change, put the charge on my phone, the sound might change. Yeah, there's a really great book called, I think it's called De-Junk Yourself, or De-Junk Your Life.
Right.
I read it a few years back, and it was basically get rid of all the clothes that you're not wearing, that you haven't worn for the last few months, get rid of all the, all the things. And, it was a massive release. Every time I go back to my mum's, because I've got a room at my mum's, I just get rid of a load more stuff. It's just no point in holding on to it. And it actually, the book was saying that it's good for your mental health. Like, as you get rid of all this stuff, it's like you're actually getting rid of this stuff in your mind just as much physically. So I'll check that book out. It sounds good.
Yeah. What about, you've kind of got a lot of the things that people would aspire to who might listen to this podcast. You've got a little bit more kind of free time than most people. You're living in a place that you'd love to live in. You're able to kind of pursue lots of downtime and balance. Have you got a nice sense of community there?
Yeah, there's a lovely sense of community. I think we spoke about this before. It's just being a bit mindful that you don't get too lost in it. You know what I mean? If you've got a bit of a mission in life, well, I feel like I've got my books, and you know that's what I'm being called to do at the moment. I still try to have a bit of a mentality where, for a good 4 or 5 days a week, that I'm focused. Although I've added some time out at the moment, but normally 4 or 5 days a week, I'm focused on what I'm doing. And then the weekends and the evenings is time for sunsets and and saunas and stuff. But I think you could get lost. I see a lot of people they're telling me what they're doing, how they're changing the world, their missions and all the things they're doing. I'm like, how are you doing that? You've been in this coffee shop doing nothing for like last week. You was in here 3 weeks ago. Or they're always out partying and doing these things. I'm like, how does that actually, it's like you're spending one. So I think even though I've got this, for me, the environment, it's about the environment. I wake up and I'm just it's easier to meditate. I'm just very peaceful and very calm. I'm not saying that you I don't know, it's a choice. I choose to have a positive environment to get the best out of myself creatively, mental health, all that sort of stuff. So I think you can still have a great environment, but you can still, and a good community, but you can still get a bit lost and a bit distracted is what I'm trying to say. So I still keep myself quite a bit, and then when I go into the communities, I dip in and out of them. I don't want to get too caught up in them.
Yeah, and because obviously when we came out, we hung out loads, didn't we, over kind of 2 or 3 weeks, and it was really nice. And then we left. Do you find that it's kind of quite a transient community?
It's beautiful, mate, seeing friends like yourself coming over. My other friend just came over from America, but then I like my own time. So when people go, it's time for me just to come back to myself. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. And then there is a big community of expats that live here. So they don't really leave. There's a lot of people.
Right.
So I know a lot of people.
So that's good. So it's not just transient. There's a lot of people who stay there, and you've got good buddies that you can rely on, and they'll still be there.
Yeah, people have got the businesses, they've got the restaurants, the cafes, the coffee shop. So I just kind of get in there with them. And again, it's nice to know a lot of people, but then it's nice just to, I like my solitude a lot. I like it a lot.
Yeah. We're thinking about bringing our son out there. What do you think, like, in terms of bringing a baby to Thailand? Good idea?
Mate, 100%. I think
brilliant.
It's such a gift. Yeah, 100%. It's such a gift to give to kids, right? Get them while they're young into the traveling, the flying, going through all these kind of like airports, all that, and then being on the beach. Otherwise, it could be they get a bit older, and I don't know. I just think it's a gift that you could give to kids. I really, really. I see so many people travelling out here with their kids. Some actually live here. They put their kids into school over here. And I really do see a difference between that child and children when I go back to like home. And you can just see that they're more outgoing. They just seem to be more creative. And bloody the lifestyle that they've got on the beach every night, around fires, playing football. They've got so much more free. I believe that's just in my head. I see that they've just got so much more freedom. So definitely bring them out here, mate. I'm looking forward to it. Yeah.
Well, you'll be babysitting as well, but pretty much every night.
Don't come.
And obviously you're a dad, and your daughter's been over there a few times, hasn't she?
Yeah, she loves it, mate. Yeah, mine's a little bit older than yours now. She's 17, 18 this year.
Yeah. And is she into yoga as well?
She was, mate, when I could force her into doing it, when I could make her do it. Got her own bloody mind. She doesn't really do it as much, but she's got that nice little. I'd say she's got a lovely positive mindset, like a little yogi mindset, where she understands the stuff that I've been putting into her brain since she was a kid.
Well, that's the thing I was telling you before we started recording. Even having a baby who's only 3 months old, that's one of the things that I've learned more than anything else from parenting. You just got to let go and accept, because they're not going to do what you want them to do. They're going to do exactly what they want to do and not listen to you. Which is it's quite a learning curve, because until now, I think, especially if you're kind of quite used to kind of controlling your environment, you're able to kind of control your career and kind of, I don't know, buy a house or whatever it might be, and then you have this baby in your life and you can't control anything. It's intense, isn't it?
Quality, mate. Brilliant. You enjoying it though, Tone?
Oh, loving it, absolutely. Yeah, it's brilliant. Yeah.
What's the best bit about it since it's all changed?
Probably the lack of sleep. No, do you know what it is? It's probably the fact that I've got certain games that I can play with him that sound ridiculous but will make him laugh. If I say hello in a certain voice, it'll always make him laugh, and that's pretty good. Because there aren't many people in the world that I can do that with.
Can you do the voice for us?
Yeah, if I say hello, he'll laugh. He's in the next room. He's next door. He's asleep. He'll probably wake up and start chuckling. So yeah. So mate, look, it's great to catch up, and obviously in September when you're over doing your workshop, you're going to come and stay with us then, aren't you? And it'll be good to actually see you, and hopefully I'll actually turn up this time and not mug us off last minute.
Well, I heard you wanted to babysitter, so I kind of changed my mind.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Obviously, I always ask people for one book they'd recommend and one tip for living with more energy. It doesn't have to be a book. It could be a podcast, could be a film, could be anything that's been kind of influencing you at the moment. What would you go for?
It's old school, mate, really. I just Tony Robbins stuff. I've just been listening to him again. I've been on this path for years, but I still pick up things like Tony Robbins. I've just been listening to his I can't remember what the course is called, or anything by Tony Robbins. A Date with Destiny, or a coaching one. But anyway, I was literally listening to it this morning. And it reminds me, you go off and sometimes you read 100 books, but it always reminds me that if you've got a gem, if you've got one that gets you results and if it gives you all that energy, then go back to it. So I know a lot of your listeners probably know of Tony Robbins, but I would just go back to Tony Robbins again. That's off the top of my head. More energy. There's a funny, mate, the less I have, like the less I eat, I'm really playing, they call it intermittent fasting or whatever you call it. But intermittent
fasting.
Intermittent fasting, but I've been doing that for a while. But I've been playing with it a little bit more, trying not to eat till about 1 o'clock in the afternoon, and trying, I find it a bit difficult trying to stop eating at 6. I still like a little cheeky snack in the evening. Do you know what I mean? So the reason why I'm saying it is I'm finding like the less I'm taking into my body, like the less I'm having, it seems like the more energy I've actually got.
Right. And
I know that sounds a bit contradictory because you could eat certain foods to give you more energy, but I'm just finding it the other way. The less I watch TV, I don't watch TV or watch the movies, the more clearer my mind is. It's very clear. Do you know what I mean? So to get more energy, I and the more I move the body, obviously, in the gym and the yoga, again, the more energy I've got. So I'm just playing around with that at the moment, just trying to take less stuff in, and I feel like my energy is going up.
That's really interesting. I've been intermittent fasting for ages, and I did it because I never knew what to have for breakfast, and I'd always have a dodgy tummy in the morning, and then I stopped eating in the morning and I was absolutely fine. So that's what gives me more energy, the fact that it just kind of allows my belly to settle in the morning. I'll still have a coffee, and presumably you might still have a matcha latte in the morning, or
a coconut.
And then just kind of let it settle until lunch. And that definitely suits me. But what you were talking about in terms of consumption, and it's not necessarily just food, I had a perfect example of that last night, because I'm ashamed to say, Brett, that my brain is just kind of so kind of mushy at the moment from looking after the baby and not having enough sleep, that the program on TV called Love Island has actually been watched by me quite a few times. And what we found is that, like, there's a couple of nights ago we watched, and the baby was in bed, and we were the baby has a kind of a cot which is attached to our bed, so it's like this co-sleeping cot, but it's like attached to our bed, so you can just reach over if he's crying and put a hand on him or whatever. And we were lying in bed watching Love Island on my phone, and he was not going to sleep. He wasn't looking at the screen, but he was stimulated by the screen and by our energy watching this program. And then last night, didn't have it on. He was just lying next to us, fast asleep, really chill. We, partly feeding off our energy, partly feeding off probably the nature of the light as well. But I thought it was quite an interesting lesson in how all of us can be quite overstimulated by things like that. But it's subtler once you get older, and you don't notice it so much. But with a baby, you can tell because they're crying or they're sleeping.
And it's so important in the first few years of their life, right? Their brain is just like a sponge. So they're just consuming all of the environment in. So it makes perfect sense to me. I totally get it. When my daughter was younger, I would make a point of it. I mean, obviously, social media and all this stuff wasn't as big as it was, 17 years ago. It's like in the last 10 years, it's gone mental. But I still remember, when we'd go out to the parks, I'd leave my phone at home on purpose. When we'd have time at home, we would put our stuff. Well, I would put stuff away. So even now she's grown up, she's still on it. Don't get me wrong, but I can see she's just a bit more. She's less on it. She's a bit more mindful that when she's talking to. And I'm not trying to get like a Blue Peter badge or an award for the best dad of the year. To me, back then, it was just common sense that all children really want is that kind of undivided attention. They just want your attention. Like you say, you could say hello 1,000 times and he still won't get bored of it. In the end, you're like, I'm off it. I've done it too much now. They just want to play the ball again and again and again. And sometimes, but it was just an eye opener. Basically, that's just mindfulness, isn't it, Tone? What you're saying, the more mindful you are, I suppose, around the kids, the the more precious their beautiful little mind is staying pure.
But it's a good point for us as well, isn't it? As well, it's something that I'm constantly aware of, and I think it comes up so much on Zestology, but it's hard to.
What's that?
Just like switching off, getting away from technology, and if it's challenging for their mind, it will be for ours as well, if you know what I mean. But I'll tell you what, I'm going to wrap this up because I can hear him stirring. In fact,
mate,
more than stirring in the background.
He wants to watch the Love Island, that's why.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And for anyone who's judging me for watching Love Island, you absolutely should be judging me, but my brain just isn't capable of anything else at the moment. So now, mate, where can people find out more about you, your retreat in September, and everything else?
Brett-Moran.com. There's a retreat coming up in August. There's a free 30-day meditation challenge to help with the mental health and the emotional health. And obviously there's the Tantra workshop coming up in September.
Great. So the retreat is in Thailand in August, is it?
So I've got 2 retreats in Thailand, one in August, one in November, and I've got one in the UK in September.
Great.
Just go to the website; it's all on there, mate. Yeah.
Oh, mate, terrific. We'll be out there soon enough, and I hope to see you here. I really missed you, so it's really great to catch up,
mate. I love you loads. See you soon, mate.
That's it for today's podcast, and that's pretty much it from me today as well, because I'm almost home, just strolling home at the moment in London. You absolutely should judge me for watching Love Island. It's brain rot TV, honestly. And in the past, I've never watched it, and somehow this year, with a baby, a moving house, and a new business, and all the other stuff going on, at 9 in the evening, it seems to be the only thing that my brain can cope with. If you haven't watched Love Island yet this year, don't. It's just not going to enrich your life. And in my defence, I do watch kind of life-enriching stuff on TV as well every once in a while, but yeah. Problem is, once you've watched an episode or two, you get sucked in, and then it's hard because you know all the characters. Oh, what do you think of Moran, and so on. Anyway, that's Love Island, and that will be the last time that gets mentioned on this podcast, perhaps. And thanks to Brett, such a great bloke. I'm sure you could tell he's a really good friend as well. And do check out his site. Brett is just such a great guy. So thoughtful. I've got a lot of friends who've been on his retreats in Thailand, and they've just loved it. So yeah, check him out. We'll get Brett back on the podcast soon. Hopefully I'll see him next time he's over as well. He lives so in the moment that he's kind of hard to pin down, which makes it all the more fun when we do record podcasts. And hope you enjoyed it. That is it for Zestology. If you can't wait until next Monday when the next podcast comes out, head to TonyWrighton.com for a few more hacks and things like that. Otherwise, I'll see you then.